Welcome to Georgia. I know that there is the state Georgia in the USA, but I'm speaking now about Georgia, the country which is situated near Russia. I advise you all to visit in summer my native country, Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. Tbilisi has a unique and ancient history. There are wonderful seaports of Black Sea such as Batum and Kobulet. My story is connected with Georgia because everything was happened there in 1987 when Georgia was the part of the USSR. And as other countries of the USSR, Georgia also took part in all activities, cultural, scientific investigations, and even in such investigations which remained in secret from simple people. The USSR was greatly interested in science and did very many secret investigations. You may think now that such investigations were military ones. No. The main purpose of their experiments was to make people's life easier and to create a new world where would be no rich, no poor people. But there were also military experiments. New weapons and injections as well, which could make a superhero from a man. I was a volunteer who took part in the creative experiments of the time machine, as I had an aim to go to the future and to see everything with my own eyes. Not only to listen some stories about it and think if they were really or not. And so, on 11 December 1987, it was decided to send me into 94-28 year. At once you can ask me why into so far interval. There is a simple explanation. Time interval is divided into phases. And if I go into 400 year, for example, I do not think I will get all answers to my questions. Really, there were habitable planets and galaxies, any rational beings. Really, our planet year by year is being disappeared. What kind of planet it will be through such great time interval? And the main, really people will know about their origin, their life, and about the creation of their planet. 9428 was chosen in that way. 9 as the biggest one-digit number. 4 because 4 people took part in that experience. And 28. 28 was the room's number of our laboratory. The name of our main professor was Victor, and just he was the founder of the time machine. He was crazy about physics and math. The name of the time machine was Nikola. It was named in the honor of the great scientist Nikola Tesla, as he was a genius professor who did genius discoveries. He himself said that he had created the time machine. But it's a pity people did not believe and accept him, and he took his secrets to the grave. That machine looked like a metal chair hanging over a great swimming pool. There was strange blue liquid looked like jelly. I sat on the chair and was dressed in some equipment with the help of which I could breathe underwater. My hands and feet were tied with the belts. I knew that the main component of time machine was electric power, but I didn't know how it was operated. I would like to say that Tesla's machine also worked on electricity, and the current was his main point of life. The base of his all experiments was electricity. And so, I was tied, I was sitting on a chair hanging in the air over the swimming pool of liquid. The professor, who was the founder of that operation, was standing in front of me. His assistant was standing near the table with a big red button on it. Professor counted back 3, 2, 1, 0. The assistant pulled that red button and in a second I found myself in that strange liquid of the swimming pool with that chair. I was electrified at once. I felt electricity with all my body. It was a great pain. I could hardly bear it. I could not think anything at that moment except that pain. I felt how my body was separated from my skeleton, how my blood was burning. I felt some explosion inside me and lost the pain at once. I opened my eyes and was shocked. I found myself in a picturesque and incredible place. It is difficult to explain and to describe. The whole city was green. There were different plants, flowers and trees, but there were also some buildings covered with flowers as well. That city looked like some mega city, which was situated in the forest. Simply imagine 100-storied buildings covered with plants and flowers. The same were the streets. They were so well groomed that nature and the city were as if they feed, but did not disturb each other. The buildings were fully covered by sunny batteries, which were, in my opinion, the city's source of the electricity. Everything was so light and nice. Those plants, buildings. The plants were so fresh and beautiful as if it was some fantastic film. By the way, one of the greatest and shocking information for me was that one of the advertisement stand where was written like traveling to the Mars for the whole family. Near it was video about Mars. It was not a red desert which we can see now. It was a wonderful beauty, forest, seas with happy running and laughing people. I was really shocked. I was standing and looked at that ad. After that, I saw another one dedicated to Europe, the Jupiter satellite, but it different from Mars. There were inhabitants in Europe. The advertisement said that they were waiting for us as guests. That is why I was shocked, but continued my travel. I was walking along that wonderful city full of nice plants. The sky had a very nice blue color. I heard bird sounds because the sky was full of them. I felt such kind of impression as if I was died and was in the heaven. It was ideal for the Earth planet. Machines were flying in the sky and did not pollute the air. They were so different in colors, sizes, forms, and did not look like nowadays machines and cars. I want to say that the air was incredibly clear, and if it's possible to say, it was tasty. I was walking along the city, so people who were so similar to the people of our period of time, simply the clothes were different. They were looking at me with surprise because of my strange clothes. They were looking without a word. Our laboratory was in Batumi, and that time the traveling began from Batumi. In 9428 it was again in Batumi. I can exactly say about it. As walking I appeared at the seaside of the Black Sea. People around me spoke Georgian. How interesting it is. Even in 9428 my nation could possess its own language and essentiality. The activity at the seaside was great. There were so many people as if in our days. Simply everything was more wonderful. There were some strange and non-understandable ships on the sea. people had strange devices, for example, shoes which led them to walk over the water. I saw a child with some device which looked like fish gills. I thought it was something to breathe underwater. It is so strange for me to speak about now as it is 2018 and I can better explain you everything I have seen. But in 1987 it was more difficult to do because there were no any future gadget in our days. For example, in future you could see drones. Yes, drones everywhere, they're different from each other, but I did not see any remote control, no telephone. The only thing which was on the people was something as a watch. I think it was their remote control, with the help of which they could control everything. I was looking at the sea. Suddenly, somebody came up to me and asked in English where I was from. I was confused and said that I came from Europe as a tourist. He was surprised and asked what country I was from. I didn't know what to say because more than 7,000 years had passed already and I did not even know if Europe was existed or not. I kept silence for some seconds and after that answered, Berlin. He smiled and invited me to his place for dinner. His name was David. We walked along and came up to one machine. He asked me to get in. We got in together. In some seconds, we were in the sky and began flying above the city. I am sure that you would give everything to be there instead of me, and flew above the city to see it from above. It was incredible. It was fantastic. The skyscrapers, nice nature without streets, as if there was no any transportation on the ground. All the machines were flying and ground was green. Inside the machine everything differed from nowadays machines. There was no door, any machine part. All operations were done by the screens, with touch screens on them. The whole interior, it was full of screens. Some of them were doing the control of remote things, some showed the position of the machine. I want to say that the whole machine was covered with sunny batteries. And as I understood, just the energy of the sun was responsible for machines moving. The sun energy for those machines was instead of petrol. It was so strange for me. Imagine that from elementary Soviet machine, I appeared in any non-understandable machine, and imagine how I was surprised when I saw touch screens. But in the Soviet time, it was a fantastic device. During my whole traveling, I tried to keep in secret my surprise, as it would be understandable at once that everything was new for me. Our travel lasted only 5 minutes, and we were in the roof of a building. It was David's house. It was very nice. I want to pay your attention to that fact that in 9428 no building was built of bricks. It was the material like metal. And so we appeared at David's house. All house was full of gadgets and devices. We sat on the sofa and the robot came up to us. I was turned pale because the robot brought some coffee for us. David looked at me and asked if I really had traveled the first time by time machine. I looked at him with surprise and he told that understood everything from the first time, as he also had a time travel and was in jail for 20 years and he lost his job. As he saw me, he understood at once that I came from the past time. He was the general. Once he was impatient and wanted to know much. He traveled into 1364. The time machine was an ordinary device since 3000, but it was forbidden to travel by it because the future could be changed. Talking, we climbed up the roof and said, it was night. I simply looked at the sky and suddenly saw something like planet, as if it was the second moon but bigger one. David told it was a new satellite which was discovered in 5405, and little by little it approached to the Earth planet and became our second satellite since 8700. Some strange objects were flying in the sky. There were some lights there. David told that since 5000 years, people started to live on the moon. Then it was a new satellite, which name was Phantom X. The whole universe became inhabitable. All the planets where were not life were full of inhabitants. And also there were many planets where lived other human creatures. As we usually say, aliens. There were aliens whose science was surpassed our science 100 times. There were also such aliens who were in the Stone Age yet. I also want to say that people were communicating with the aliens, did trade with each other. There is an interesting fact. They say that traveling to the Mars planet in 2018 will last 9 or 10 months. I will say that since 3000 it lasted only 2 or 3 days. People even travel to the far galaxies. The whole universe is populated and our solar system is the territory of people. Do you imagine we try to find another kind of aliens and life just on another planet, but they are the billions. Traveling to the moon lasts only some hours. I told David that liked 9428 very much and wanted to stay here. He told that the world had been about destruction 2 times already. First, it was in 3300 when machines began the war with people. This war lasted till 4200, and the second was in 7000 when aliens from the Andromeda galaxy decided to conquer our solar system. There were many events like Hollywood movies. People lived with aliens on the Earth and etc. Now I would like to speak about one of the most shocking information. How long did your relatives or some familiar people live? I'm sure no longer than 80 or 85 years. And now, can you guess how old David is? 132. But by appearance he looked like 50. As since 6000 people lived till 500 years with the help of the possibility to change all parts of the body, with the help of new injections which help people to live longer than before. I said that diseases were increased, but there was no incurable one. Suddenly, a strange animal came up to us. It was not look like anyone. I was afraid and fell down. David said it was Pendilo. He brought that animal from Andromeda galaxy. He wanted me to see all those animals. We together went for a walk around the city. There were different kind of aliens. It was unbelievable. They were all different. David said there were tourists. Even people went to other planets. It was not a very hard and expensive process. I wanted to know about the watch people wore on their hands. He said It was the device which replaced everything, with the help of which people phone each other, sent messages. It was connected with a man's brain. Instead of calling, the man thinks about it, without any moving, simply only the thought. The phenomenon of those calls was that all calls and letters were sent to the person's mind you are talking to, even without your lips moving during speaking. We can say it was telepathy. And so we were walking. As it was night, I could admire its planets, its smell, different colors of lights. In the whole universe, there were flying plates, which were so nice. New planets and satellites were seen in the universe. Maybe there were some changes in the Earth planet. I do not know. We were walking and he showed me the city. Suddenly I felt a strong pain. I closed my eyes and again opened them already in 1987 on the ground of our laboratory. They took me out of the swimming pool and dried. I told them everything, filled in many documents. I had been exempt for 4 days. There were a lot of such kind of experiments in the Soviet Union, and there were experiments not only of time traveling, but weapons creation too. I am sure you will know many stories with the help of ApexTV. Thank you very much for watching.